One of the biggest reasons that I've uncovered working with clients over 20 years why people are struggling to lose weight is they rely far too much on diet. This is often fueled by ideas of success is 99% diet and all these sorts of things. And that's not to discredit the role that diet and nutrition plays in weight loss, because it certainly is very important. But one of the best things I ever did for my own health and weight management was to look at it in the perspective that diet and a healthy diet is not about weight loss and weight management. See, I look at it as two different things. Weight loss and weight management, totally separate subject. Completely different set of skills, strategies, and everything. Healthy diet, entirely different. Now, of course, there's some cross-influential variance to one thing after the other. But when we look at a diet and we're basing the healthiness of our diet purely on what is this going to do for my weight? Am I going to lose weight? Am I going to get leaner? Am I going to have abs? Or is this going to make me fatter? When that's the number one criteria for how we're selecting our food choices, not only is that severely handicapping your ability to manage your weight, it's also severely handicapping your ability to have a healthy diet. And once again, the reason is simple, is when we boil things down to the fundamental level on how fitness actually works, we recognize that weight management really is about that whole calorie balance thing. I know people say it's not that simple. Trust me, there's nothing simple about calorie balance. We're still figuring it out. There's a lot of mystery to it. But when we understand that it is about calorie balance, yes, diet is 50% of that, because that's how you're consuming everything. But there's that other half of caloric expenditure that is also extremely important to it. And yeah, a lot of that's your base metabolic rate, which you don't really have that much control over. But things like your activity levels and your energy level and sleep and even your emotional state all play a very big role in your overall energy expenditure. So if we're trying to manage weight purely on diet, you're looking at a very limited approach that is only going to have so much influence. And even then, when it comes to diet, people are like, I'm not really managing diet, I'm just managing a part of my diet, which is like carbs or sugar or meat or something. So you're basically taking this big, huge, complex thing with many, many parts and saying, ignore most of it, and I'm just going to focus on this one small area, which is only going to have so much of an impact no matter how hard you work at it. On the other hand, diet health, or the healthiness of a diet, depends on a hell of a lot more than calories or just carbs or sugar or trans fats or seed oils or whatever the dietary mumbo jumbo about weight management is all about these days. Because there's a lot of variables that go into your health and well-being outside of diet, and the way diet contributes to it has got to be far more than just sugar or glycemic index or whatever you're trying to focus on, such a narrow range of parameters. And I did a podcast last week on the RDP podcast on Eat to Satisfy. That's the approach we have here at RDP, because a healthy diet takes care of your four fundamental appetites. Satisfies your hunger, satisfies your nutritional support, satisfies your metabolic support, and it also satisfies just the simple hedonic need for food, the pleasure, the enjoyment, the social interactions. A truly healthy diet leaves you satisfied and fulfilled in all areas. There's no downside there. So when we are eating, oftentimes for the sake of weight management, we usually have a pretty unhealthy diet because it's usually based on restriction and deprivation that's leaving at least one or several of those fundamental appetites woefully unfulfilled, and therefore it's not really that healthy, is it? And this is why it's so important to separate those two things. Because if you want to focus on having a healthy diet, you want to have nutritious, wholesome, nutrient-dense food for nutritional support. That's also going to go a long way in satisfying your physiological hunger. You want to make sure you're also getting a good amount of variety for both of those things. You also want to make sure you're not too restrictive for hunger and nutritional support and metabolic support. And you're not too restrictive on allowing yourself to enjoy the pleasures of food to ensure that you're getting that hedonic support. Now, when you get all those things, your diet's going to naturally be healthy, and it's probably not going to lead to too much unhealthy habits that are usually associated with weight gain, like too much processed foods, too much negative emotional eating, too much overeating in general. That stuff naturally kind of just takes care of itself when you make your health and well-being of mind, body, and lifestyle a cornerstone of the goal of a healthy diet. You're not even worrying about weight just yet. And then if you are looking at weight management, you're like, okay, my diet's in check, it's healthy, but that's as good as it's gonna get. My diet is not responsible for my weight. For the weight, I wanna look at a multi-influential approach, of course, being like, I wanna eat good food, good proteins, all that sort of thing, just not too much, making sure I'm not consuming excessive luxury calories. So that's keeping the diet thing in check. But then I'm also expending calories through physical activity and feeling good and taking care of emotional things, maybe even going to therapy if necessary. It certainly has helped me in several areas. So it's always a multi-influence approach. But again, when we're looking at diet as about health and weight, no, it's not. It's a part of it, but it's by no means even close to the whole picture, especially when our diet is just about focusing on one small aspect of food. I've got some other resources here, and you can check out on the podcast. I've also got links to my ebooks at the RDP merch store for calorie hacking, which is my weight management and weight loss approach, and also the rest of the RDP library down in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have questions, like, share, do the things with the buttons and everything. Much appreciated. I'll talk to you next time. Be fit and live free.